Welcome, everybody, to, I think, episode 250 of Astrology Unplugged. I think that's what it is. Over 4 years worth, and real happy about that. Welcome to you all, the regular gang. Welcome to you folks watching on YouTube. Tonight, we're going to continue our work with people who claim to be stuck in some fashion and do what we can. I first of all wanted to share with you my my schedule. So this is the upcoming holiday schedule. We're working with Lav tonight. That's her nickname, Lav Blue. Next week off for Thanksgiving. Then we're working with the Unstuck to get unstuck with Valerie and Debbie. I reserved December 16th to talk about this global stuff that's going on. It's just incredible with codependency, and that is the Pluto return. Off for Christmas, off for New Year, so give me kind of a break. Then we have the following names. I'm just mentioning the first names only, people who have set this up with me. A few people have asked about this getting on the list, and I don't know what to do. So I've gone as far as mid-February scheduling these kinds of folks, and I don't know if I want to continue or not. We'll just see what happens. You can't steal my cat from me.
I'm stealing your cat.
Hi, Liza.
Hey, hi, everybody.
You can steal anytime you want. That was Uma. Okay. I want to welcome my good friend Lav. She goes by Lab Blue. I found out that her former email address was Lavender Blue. So that's why she's been calling herself Lab Blue for quite a while. Welcome to our show. It's good to have
Okay to
you.
use my name. It's okay to use my name too.
It's okay.
You've known me forever.
Yeah, it's all right. We just go at first names here because it's about the astrology of. Now, I've known Lab for 7 years. I've read for about 3 times. And this is a very unusual case. Not only do I love reading for Aquarian women, for many reasons, but Lav is a chart that I've not been able to solve. She's one of their very few charts. I've done about 10,000. I've got about 4,000 in my records, and I could think about 3 or 4 that I couldn't solve. And I know it's not something she's doing. I know it's not delusional clouds in the way. I know it's not the wrong birthday. For some reason, I've had a difficult time with this chart. I'm going to give it another crack. We'll get to your chart in just a minute, Lab, but I first wanted to hear from you about your feeling. Why are you feeling and how are you feeling stuck?
So I know I'm here on purpose. I know I have
the eclipse is forming right now.
What?
The eclipse is forming right now over the next few hours.
Yes. So I have great abilities that I don't understand. Sometimes I can't language them.
Right.
I know I'm here to be helping and of service of waking people up or turning the switch on or connecting them with their higher selves. I know I help people in the transition process going from life to death. But currently I don't really live anywhere. I'm selling my house or selling my mom's house. I could live on a couple different continents.
And you just lost your mom and dad, and you lived in Perth, Australia for a while.
In California.
When I met you.
Yep, in California. So I only have my twin brother who has not spoken to me since the day after my mom died. So my oldest son is estranged from me, and I'm just kind of starting to connect with my younger son. So kind of untethered in the family aspect, which, you know, my chart. So it's all about family, from being adopted, from losing my sister when we were teenagers, her dying, doing the divorce thing, estranged children. So just not knowing where to plug in with my gifts. For both income and for place to offer. So I work with clients remotely. I'm doing Zoom group meetings, but it's just not here. I'm okay with surfing the mystery. But I would rather be giving, I'd rather be available instead of surfing, instead of waiting. So I don't know
Be
if
more,
I'm.
be more concrete based.
Mm,
You said, well, a lot of these things are very Aquarian. Something you just said, I just lost it. Anyhow, we're going to get to it. To be of service, etc. Okay. Now, what I have found with people trying to find their purpose, to try to find their Joseph Campbell mission, what I have found generally is people need to find their block first. And about 70% of the people I've worked with have a significant block that keeps them from seeing that. My estimation, about 30% don't have too much trouble with it. And once that blockage is not removed, but just start to get it to move. Just start to get it to move. Is moving side to side, the real self starts to talk around the edge and starts to feed you that kind of information. I have found. I have had a reading from you, if you want to call it that, several years ago, about two. What in general, just in general, quickly, what type of reading do you give people?
I mean, what do I do for people when I
What kind of reading do you give them? What do you read?
I communicate with their soul self or a higher self and help connect them and understand what patterning they're dealing with. I can bring energy forward. I can take energy that's not theirs out. So generally empowering people.
Okay. And I've written something about that for you at one time, and I think that makes a lot of sense there. Let's get to your chart. All right. Now, that's one. They have this. There we go. Had some extraneous noise there. Okay. All right. Getting to your chart. They've changed Zoom. So there we go. They've made it easier to get to the charts. Okay. Can you see the chart?
Yes.
Now I'm going to go over with you, make sure. We have a February 1st of 64, right?
Yep.
And 9:28 at night, Indianapolis. Because believe it or not, sometimes when you have trouble reading for people, the chart's just wrong. Sometimes that happens. Also, one thing you see is people sometimes get the AM and the PM reversed. And boy, you switch it from the other one to the other, and it all just fits. But anyhow, when you're reading a chart, it's like a combination lock that you're real close to getting it. You can feel it. You can tell. And an astrologer is going to be off in some cases because the archetypes being represented have so many different sides to them. So I try to encourage my students when they're going down a trail and they sniff this and they say something, and it seems like they're wrong, to not tell themselves that they're wrong. Just keep sniffing, keep turning that archetypal wheel, keep working with it. And usually you end up with something that will surprise you. And the biggest thing that surprises you is your client's trying to help you. You got to get a dialogue. And when you do, the client wants it revealed. The client wants it out. And they can sense when you're working with them. Anyhow, I want to get into this chart. It's got some really nice things in it. We have an Aquarian who is 12 degrees next to Mars. So the sun Mars is very strong. And you can imagine that Mars gets along very well with anybody's sun sign because Mars and the sunshine are very similar. So this just tells you if you back this lady in a corner, you're going to get punched. That's all I'm saying. She's real nice. She's super sweet, but don't back her into a corner because she'll come out fighting. And if she were left alone with just the Mars Saturn, she might not. She might reserve those punches for herself. So with the sun, Mars, it really helps. Nevertheless, I'm born with the Mars Saturn myself, and mine was a lot closer, and yours is 9 degrees apart. So the Mars Saturn is not very strong, and I think that's good because the Saturn adds a lot of caution to the Mars. In this sense, it's adding a little bit of caution to it, and I think that could be kind of good. And we all know that Aquarians have a dual side. They have a very Saturnian side, they have a very Aquarian side, a very Uranian side, I should say. So we see a little bit of controlled energy here, a little bit of stamina here. We can also see a little bit of frustration here. This is one of the keynotes of Mars Saturn. It's frustrated energy. And one reason I think it's frustrated energy is because the person is trying too hard to control it. They're just trying. Saturn, she just lifted her head up. Well, with Saturn there, Saturn, I'm trying to really hard to give it a new face. Saturn's problem is it works too hard at trying to make sure. And sometimes making sure is real good, like when you're doing your taxes, but it doesn't do real good in a love affair. Okay. Now, Lav has this beautiful Venus in Pisces. And Venus in Pisces is just so wonderful because it's really, you've already got the sign of the zodiac that's true friendship. I mean, she's truly your friend when she says, not wordsmithing, she just is. And when Venus is in Pisces, it's just the pinnacle of that. And it's trine to Neptune. So that Venus in Pisces at 18, and this is pretty much at 18, that Venus is kind of like being Venus in Pisces. And that means she's very understanding. She's going to give people a second, third chance. And a fourth and a fifth and sixth and seventh. Then she starts slapping herself. Plus, you've got a moon in Libra, and a moon in Libra is not going to give that a hard time. Moon in Libra's problem is it's too compromising. So we see a really, really nice woman. She's just a really nice soul. She's got a lot of unconditional love in her heart. That's what Neptune Venus is. So you don't get this by rolling the dice. You get this from a past life where she's been this way for a long time. Also, I'm going to tell you, since the full moon is happening tomorrow morning around 8, the full moon is happening. Here it is. The full moon, the lunar eclipse is not just a full moon, it's a lunar eclipse tomorrow, about 9 o'clock in the morning. The lunar eclipse is happening at 27 of Taurus. Now, you notice that the 27 is opposite the sun because a lunar eclipse is a full moon, only it's fuller than most usual. The opposition of the full moon, the eclipse, is going to Jupiter at 24 of Aquarius, which is a really nice thing because this is very favorable, but they say that of the fixed stars that surround us, though they say that the worst fixed star of all, called Algol, is positioned at the 24th degree of Taurus. So there are some who put a lot of emphasis on Algol. I don't, but they say to be wary of that. But anyhow, what we're seeing with the eclipse tonight is we're seeing that 24th, 25th degree of fixed signs really light up. So we have an Aquarian. Hello, Erica. And let's see what we got here. Okay. So the eclipse is happening with the sun at 24 of Scorpio and the moon up in the 9th house. Okay. Now, since she's Aquarian, it's squaring that Saturn exactly, but the eclipse is in your 9th house. Now, what does that mean? And I want to show you young astrologers what to do. The lights are shining in the 9th house. The sun and moon are also known as the lights for obvious reasons. And when they're shining in a place, it gets lit up. And you feel it in your mind. You feel lucid at night. You can't sleep. Things just start coming to you. Don't negate these things when they happen. Get out of bed and start writing down. You're not going to sleep. When you're getting lit up lucidly, get up and write, because your chart is showing you something. Now, what this means is that things have been changing for a long time with Lav, but now, and here's the reading, 10 hours away from eclipse, 12 hours away? The reading is going to help shine light in her ninth house. The ninth house means, what is your overall philosophy? Okay, now remember, there's nobody more intellectual in the zodiac than Aquarians. What do they do all day, all night, every day? They work on the big mental plane. They're always putting that big mental picture together, just like me, because my sun is opposite Uranus. And I drive myself nuts with just putting charts together at all times. Aquarians are here to put the big mental picture together. There's one more sign after them, however, and tonight's a lot about the however. So when you're forming all this stuff, the reason Aquarians do it is because of one really fabulous word that really defines them, and that's the word ramifications. And everybody else thinks they understand ramifications, but they don't. Not like Aquarians. If you got this and you got that, then what are the ramifications? That's what Aquarians are experts at. So if you got an idiot president that you nominate twice or you do whatever, and he's in office all this time while things are falling apart, and you keep voting for the guy and you follow his crazy theories, therefore the ramifications are what? I don't have to get into that. We'll wait for John to talk about that stuff. So what I'm trying to say to you, even though she has been through no fault of her own, she has no control of it, she's going to stay obsessed with the mental plane. Now the light is shining on her philosophy. And what that means is there's a difference between how you see the word mentally and what your philosophy is. And those are the two things that are blending tonight. So she's going to start to see how her personal philosophy, the ninth house, is taking shape from all of the things that she's been thinking, and she's been yearning for getting grounded with her work. And she thinks this is about her getting her work straightened out, but it's not. That's secondary, because it's all about, readings are all about getting yourself straightened out with you and God. Getting the ramp straightened out so your path to him or her is more accessible. So does this kind of make any sense to you, what I'm feeling so far?
Yeah, that, and my work in the path to God, the universe, is the same. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Good. And while you're at it, we got to check in with Susan, who's traveling the country in her Winnebago type place. Susan, where are you now? You're in California? Susan from Cleveland.
Hi,
Where are you, dear?
I'm in Leo Carrillo campground, which is just north of Malibu.
Well, I'm sorry you're having it so rough. We'll leave you alone. Jeez, I don't want to even hear about that one. My God. Okay, so Lav, we're just getting started. Thank you, Susan. Stick with us. All right. Now, so what we're seeing, see, a lot of times astrologers go, oh, there's a full moon, there's a new moon, it's a red moon, it's a love moon, it's a blood moon, but you ask them what it means. I don't know. They just talk about what it looks like. It's this big shiny thing up in the sky. Of course. But what we're seeing, without a doubt, tonight will be about her getting the flashlight in her ninth house of philosophy. And what that will mean she will see things in her philosophy that have been there too long. How'd that junk get in there? Time for that to go. And she'll also see new things in there. Oh, yeah, that's new and exciting. She'll be updating and reaffirming her new philosophy. That's what's going to happen. Secondly, the ninth house is about world travel. And Lav is a world traveler. So don't be surprised at all if something flips in her switch tonight and she says, I'm going overseas. And it usually is overseas. And it's exactly like Perth, Australia. In other words, it's not the main cities in the world. It's somewhere you would say, where'd you say? Again?
Can't travel yet because I can't travel until we resolve this whole thing about passporty vaxy crappy thing.
Okay. All right. Sorry for now. Let's continue. The Mercury is in Capricorn, which is really no problem here because, as I say, Aquarians have a strong Saturnian side. And remember, all sun signs have their Mercury in one of three places, either in the same place as the sun sign or next door. All Capricorns, one of those three. So this is a good thing because a lot of times Aquarians get spread too thin. As he's asking for grounding, this will really help her ground because Mercury in Capricorn is a very stable place for Mercury, albeit sometimes unimaginative, but she's got enough imagination with the Pisces Aquarius that I'm not concerned about it. She got the moon rising, and the moon is 10 degrees from the ascendant. So it's not too close, which is good. This gives her a lot of lunar traits. And this gives her the love that Aquarians are sometimes missing. A lot of the criticism that you get of Aquarians is they're too aloof or they're too cool. They're very friendly, but they're not always warm and fuzzy. But she is warm and fuzzy. She's got a hell of a strong Venus, and she got a hell of a strong moon, so Cancer qualities, even though Virgo's rising. So these things really add up pretty well. The mystery in the chart, without a doubt, is that 1965 conjunction of Uranus and Pluto. You see it forming here in February of 64. It's connected. They joined together in October of 65, and many people have this in their chart. You have that opposite to Venus and opposite Chiron, and you got it going across the ascendant. This is a big deal. This is a very big deal. Planets in opposition across the ascendant are a very big deal. You draw them real big, and it's all about obsession with service to the public. That's what it's about. Obsessed with it because the Virgo's in there. Well, get to work. What are you doing? Well, get to work. Well, what did you do? Well, get to work. The Virgo pumps on her to be productive, get something done, serve people. And the Venus is just bring anybody in you want to. Bring anybody you want. Well, sure, bring them in. They're lovely. Bring them in. Okay, so it's very wide open. But even so, this is from the past life, which we're going to get into later. All right. I like the Jupiter. My Jupiter, Marcia, we all got Jupiter in Aries, three of us. This is what I told you when people pull up to the curb and open the van and they say, get in, we're going. And she just hops in. She didn't ask questions. She had Jupiter in Aries. I'm going where, and then half a mile later said, where are we going anyway? Or maybe 3 days later. She just gets into the adventure of it. Okay, we see Jupiter's next Eris, which is very powerful. So we know that she's very fond of protecting and fighting for the people that are underdogs, people that are not counted. And you try to get in a relationship with this lady, and I mean of any kind. You try to get in any relationship at all, and just try to start discounting her. Just try it. Just try miscounting one of her buddies or one of her friends. And she'll be nice about it with the moon in Libra, but you're going out on your ass. You just are, because she's such a fighter for the underdog. The midheaven is in Gemini, and that's very important to talk about because I just see it all the time, and it's one of those things that you know is true. People with Gemini midheavens, they always need two jobs. Always. And they can even be critical of it. One's fun and one's not. And you got to have both. And if you look at your life, it's always been this way. One's fun, like selling stuff that you made or something, and one is more serious, like put bread on the table. So it's very common to have those two jobs because you have that forked Gemini intention there to, keep the fun going, because Gemini has to keep the fun going. And you got the other one that's more lined up with what is your purpose. So what we're getting to, Lab, we're getting the basic nuts and bolts out of the chart, and we're going to start to look for what's happening in the chart now. What are the big planets doing now? And how is this all pointing towards your destiny, what you should be doing? And with all the Pluto stuff going on now, what's going on in your chart? Okay. Now, I don't know what you've watched in the show the last eight or 10 weeks, but if you've watched this show, I've been fanatical about what I've been feeling, which is if you're thinking about doing something, make it 10 times bigger than what you're thinking and go do it. Okay? So have you been having any thoughts of big plans that you're not sure about, but you're sneaking up on it?
So another aspect of the being stuck is, so I've got to clean out the house and sell the house. My only relative, my twin brother, we're 50-50 on everything. So I've been really focusing more on cleaning out the house, when I'm going to sell the house, where I'm going to go, as opposed to the grandness of how to offer, who I am and what I do.
Okay.
So stuck there.
Okay, it can seem like you're stuck, but I want to remind you that you ain't doing the driving. The person that's doing the driving, the being that's doing the driving, is doing the driving. And you are on your way. Tonight is a turning point. There's no doubt about it. Now, let's go back to the chart. All right.
And just for everybody else, I just want to say I don't understand astrology at all. I know that a lot of people here do. I can feel people twig into some of this. So for me, this is fascinating, Rick, and thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, you're certainly welcome. We're glad to have you. Okay. Now, one of the biggest things that's going on in the sky, the biggest thing by far, is Pluto is sitting here and Eris is sitting here. Okay, now there are not any planets there, but they're still stirring up this chart. And what they're doing in your chart with the 4th house and the 8th house is giving you an exaggerated sense of, I've got to do something more important. I've got to do something important. That's happening across the board. All right. Now, I'm going to go look into the past lives, what I call the past life transcript, the spiritual transcript. It is kind of like a map to me, and we've been following it closely on the show for a long time, and we see a lot of truth in it. This chart shows more or less, if you were sitting with your spirit guides and you're about to take this lifetime in 1964 and you're reviewing all your past lives, that's what this chart is. And when you talk about reviewing your lifetime, you got to get away from the physical. What it's really about is how have you been going back towards the God or towards the universe? How have you been going away from it? Been working towards getting there, working towards getting away. And what are your attitudinal shifts that have happened during that time? So it's called the 12th harmonic. It is a derivative of the birth chart. And here it is. This is the 12th harmonic. Now, this is really fascinating because all these planets up here have all gotten real small because these two are so big. Saturn, Uranus, right across the ascendant. Let's talk about that. Now, in your past lives, you have had a continual ping-ponging. And ping-ponging in the brain is very common. A lot of people have ping-ponging in the brain and they have a release. Goes out to a third planet. You don't. You've got the ping-ponging. Now, what does the ping-ponging mean? Well, the ping-ponging is actually the two halves of Aquarius. It's the Capricorn part and the Aquarian part. The Saturn part saying, oh, be cool, calm down, let's be steady, let's not spend our money too haphazardly, blah, blah, blah. And Uranus gets up, oh, quit that stuff, let's just spend some money, let's go, let's get on the boat, let's go. Yeah, but the Saturn says, yeah, but where are we going? Where are we going? Is it going to be safe? Are we going to get there? And Uranus says, quit worrying, just count on your instincts. So what we're seeing already, the basis of your 12th harmonic is this constant fight between these two things. Now, what's interesting about this, if you read standard astrology makes these two guys look like enemies. One is the father and one is the son. These two planets can work out fine, but they got to learn to get along. In other words, whenever your Saturn gets on the stage, Lav, and you try to be conservative, the Uranus says, oh, no, I'm getting on there with her. If she's going to sing, I'm singing too. We're not just going to sing this conservative stuff. Then the reverse. Then Uranus says, I'm going to start singing. And Saturn says, you're not going to sing a bunch of crazy stuff here. We're going to be more down to earth. So we see that the turning point, you can already see what's happening tonight. The turning point with you spiritually, in my opinion so far, is that you have hassled yourself for so long about these two issues. When in fact, and this is very normal, when in fact, these two can end up being really good friends. Nobody wants to be purely Uranian. You go crazy. Nobody wants to be purely Saturnian. So your mission, without a doubt, your mission in this life is to learn to blend those two energies. The one that's very conservative, tightening the belt, the one that's loosening the belt. There are times for both. And if you look at it purely astrologically, the outer planet always wins. And the outer planet in this case is Uranus, your ruling planet. Yay! Well, Uranus is a wonderful planet, as they all are. But that is so strong in that 12th harmonic that I'm making it right away the big issue of the past lives. Let's go back. No, let's stop right here. We've got plenty of time. What do you think so far that I brought that subject up?
What do I think of why you did? Or
no, what do you think of the truth of that?
I can recognize it. And I do have some blending that I probably in the last couple of years that have become more prominent. But I can recognize complete both sides. I'll call that I've not got it mastered, but I'm not behind or ahead of either one. I think some of the blending in the last couple of years also some big stretches on like allowing and trust and just big.
Exactly. That's wonderful. And this is the astrologer that just read for you 3 times in a row and didn't get it. Hey, I'm feeling better about things. All right. Now, I want to tell you something I'm discovering about it. We treat ourselves like shit. Most humans, they just treat themselves like shit. They try too hard to be perfect. They try to have fixed this, fix that, fix that, fix. And when you got a real strong Saturn Uranus, something in you very well could be screaming at you, well, these two just got to get along all the time. But that's not true. you're already talking about how they're starting to blend. You're starting to get the idea. And, things are starting to work. Now, let's look a little deeper because there's much more in the 12th harmonic than that. All right. So we see there's the Saturn and the Uranus. The chart is ruled by Saturn, Capricorn rising. The Uranus is over here, ruler of the second house. What else do we see? We see the moon is opposite. Moon is well placed in Taurus. The moon is opposite Venus and 3 planets in Scorpio. The moon is down here by itself, which is another good indication of emotions. Up here, we see somebody who's very powerful and whose career has been, for the most time, being very psychic with others. This is somebody who's extremely psychic. And when Scorpio is involved, it's real possible that you've been a medium, helping people over the edge, talking with people on the other side, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I've worked closely with Greg Keene, who's on our show every December and every June. So he'll be back with us. Oh, I better update my list. He'll be back with us in December. He's a medium from Lilydale. He's been with us about 5, 6 times. And he told me, Rick, you're not a psychic, you're a medium. And he was wrong because I tried being one and I'm much more psychic. In your sense, you're much more medium.
On both.
Okay? You're much more medium because you got this strong history of it. At the top of the chart, you got Libra, which is real good for you to be counseling others and good for you to be smoother outer of things in relationships. Okay, we see a very heavy 8th house, Sun, Chiron, Pluto. What's this mean? This means that throughout many, many lifetimes, you have not been scared one bit to dive into the occult.
Nope.
Call it what you want to call it. Some people put their toe in there and they get freaked out. Okay? But this means that you're not afraid at all to dig deep inside you to gain information. And one of the things that really helps it is having this natal Venus, Pisces, Neptune. Because while you're busy being receptive to others, what's happening is you're busy being receptive to yourself. There's no difference. So while you're busy being open to others, your opening is more trustable, that your intuition is more trustable. Now you take this to be the reverse. People don't see this. I see a lot of charts of people that don't trust other people. Okay, but they don't trust themselves.
Exactly.
It's a two-edged sword. It just is. So you can really draw upon that. Now I'm going to get to the big thing that's happening. The big thing. It's got me all excited. Okay. All right, here's the birth chart. Okay. Where is Neptune right now? Neptune is right here. 21. It's going to take a couple of years going back and forth. But these solid lines are called the angles, the ascendant and the descendant, the midheaven and the nadir, the ascendant and the descendant. Venus says Neptune has just gone over your Venus. Remember, you're born with Neptune in beautiful harmony with Venus. So in your lifetime, Neptune started out beautifully in harmony with Venus. Now Neptune all your life has been going along here, and recently Neptune has gone over to Venus. Now, first of all, when Neptune is on you, and it's still on you, it is absolutely normal that you feel really fuzzy, that you feel like you're standing on quicksand. And that's what's happening. And the reason for it is Neptune no longer wants you standing on the ground. It wants your life to be hydroponic. It wants you based in spirit. This is a permanent change that's huge. This is the main reason you're on the show.
And that's happened. I think that's happened.
It has happened. Well, it's happened to some degree. It's happened to some degree, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and stronger. Yes.
Bring it.
Yeah. See, and you're so open and you're so receptive to it. This is a wonderful example. A lot of people would have trouble with this transit. A lot of people would go have affairs. They would go drink a lot of liquor. They become addicted. They try to escape the wrong type of escape. But the true type of escape is trying to escape this. Boy, did I get the right words for this today? Trying to escape this physical reality. You want to hear something perfect? I just watched a BBC special on this couple, doctor and wife in Tennessee, who've been chased out of Tennessee because of their pro-vaccine stuff. She's been charged with spreading the vaccine to everybody in Tennessee. So they've chased her ass out. It shows them packing up their U-Haul, and they asked her what she thought about it, and she said it perfectly. She said it was amygdala firing hyperbole. Amygdala firing hyperbole. All the craziness that's going on in the country. Why? Because Neptune's opposite Neptune in the USA's chart. We don't know what's true. We don't know what's untrue. We don't know who to talk to, who's going to fix it. And why is it so confusing and weak? Because our spiritual basis is so weak. If we had a stronger spiritual foundation, we wouldn't find it so confusing. Anyhow,
So is that why I've disconnected? Is that why?
Probably. Yeah.
There's so much.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter. Nothing just.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable with it not mattering.
I'm the same way as you are. I can't watch the news anymore. I was a news junkie. I can't do it. But those three words, they need to be framed to put in bronze or something. Amygdala firing hyperbole. I just thought it was fantastic. Okay, now, when Neptune is on you, I'm going to shoot straight from the hip to you because you're very bright. What Neptune is doing, it is the part of you that's the most wise. It's the wisest planet there is. It has nothing to do at all with anything physical. It will not support your physical life. It could care less. It doesn't even know you got one. All Neptune understands is that you are part of the oneness. Okay? When people aren't ready for it, or they've been full of Americanism, Christianity, whatever you'll call it, they're full of rules and all these constructs, but they're not sensing the oneness that's in them that Jesus was trying to say to them. Now, this is a major, major sign that you're going to unfold to capacities that you can't even believe.
My mission is unity. I mean,
of course it is. Of course it is. Now, this hit me in 1975, and I wasn't an astrologer until 78. And I remember being in meditation in 75, and one day my mind just went, it just totally opened. And I didn't even know that it's like a Hollywood set. They pulled the 2x4s out and the walls came down. I didn't even know it was there, let alone it could become unbounded. And my mind became unbounded. And if you're not ready for it, you'll think you're losing it. And a lot of people have psychotic experiences during Neptune. They go to the hospital, they get on drugs, they try to figure it out because it doesn't fit in with their framework. Okay? So to somebody who is aware, and also you're already harmonious with Neptune because it feeds right into your Venus, and your Venus is in Pisces. So you're well aware of this. Now, let me get to the second part of this. This is the big one. Have you read our book? Okay. That book is based upon the gradation from Aries all the way to the final sign of Pisces. And at the last stage, I had a hard time writing about this because it's just, you got to get every word just right. The Aquarian is the 11th stage. It's the epitome of the mind being total. The human being is total. It doesn't need anything, but it's a human being and it's separate. And that's why there's one more stage. And that's the toughest one of all, when you have to give up all the individuality that you've been fighting so hard to keep together. You got to give it up to become unbounded. You got to give up the self to be reborn.
Yep.
But see, I'm not telling you anything new, but believe me, I've talked to a lot of Aquarians at this point and they go, what? I say, sorry. Your instinct at individuality is just 11/12ths of an inch. It's not an inch. Okay? All right. So while Neptune is on you, I'm just going to shoot straight with you. You're going to have a lot of confusing times. You need to know, when is Neptune really on you closely, because those times when you go, okay, and you're just not going to get anything done except taking naps. But once it gets off you a little bit, once it starts to pass by, you'll notice that, my God, I'm so much bigger. And you'll start to absorb this one word that Pisces is obsessed with. You'll never guess what it is. Every sign's obsessed with one word because it defines the state that they're in. And the word is silly. They just look back at every human instead of saying, oh, these idiots voted this way, and they replace it all with, they're just being silly. Because it shows how loving they are. They're not judgmental. They're just seeing people as doing things that are silly. It's all they can do at their state. So,
consciousness.
huh?
It's just levels of consciousness.
Exactly.
But we're all equal.
Exactly. Now, a couple other things. We're going to get into this. I'm going to get into your sixth harmonic and try to, it's another harmonic I use that tries to define what that life direction really is, your hero's journey. Now, I'm going to tell you ahead of time, there are Neptune people and there's everybody else. The everybody else is, I'm actually quite capable of helping them find their direction. Neptune people, no, because Neptune people, that's people with their Neptunes are too strong or too much Pisces. They're not specialists, they're generalists. And what I think God does, and I hate people who tell me what God thinks and what God does. What I think God intends for these people is, you're a handyman. You're a jack of all trades. I'll put you here, I'll put you there, because I know at the last minute I can put you anywhere, and you're always going to do the right thing because you've always got the right heart for it. So that's what I say for Neptune people. That has seemed to prove true. So let's go looking at your sixth harmonic while you're sitting here shaking your head. What does that mean?
I'm not shaking my head. I think that's exactly spot on.
Okay. Well, these me being spot on with you 4 or 5 times tonight is just shocking me.
Maybe
See,
I've caught up to
Claudia,
you. You caught up to me.
Claudia, you thought it's a breeze for me all the time. No. Okay. Okay. Here's the sixth harmonic. Now look at this. All right. Right at the top of your chart. Hold on for a second. Right at the top of your chart sits the planet Uranus. This is your life direction. This is across lifetimes. This means this is what you're here to do. When you have Uranus in Scorpio at the top of a chart, that means that you're here to help people find their passionate power. And you're not going to stop and listen to anybody about it. You're not going to be discouraged by anybody about it. And I tell people a lot on this show, don't listen to anybody. Don't even listen to me. Just listen to yourself, because yourself knows what's going on. That's what this chart's about. Now, we see this wonderful Capricorn, 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 Neptune, Mercury, Venus, being in a crowd of people, being a leader of people, being very loving and leading people peacefully. We see this Gemini, Gemini, Gemini. We see this really strong Saturn and Leo. Whoo! This means, and I know what this means because I got it. This means I got to do it my way. I gotta do it my way. Even though I'm being selfless, and even though I'm working for everybody, I gotta do it the lab way.
Because it's usually very efficient and effective.
Well, there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it, but it's even more than what you're saying. It's got nothing to do with selfishness, which some people would claim. It's got to do with Fred Rogersness. It's got to do with Fred Rogers. There's no one like you. And that's when the Aquarians are saying, I got to do it my way. That's what they mean. Boy, can you see somebody coming on this show trying to tell me how to do astrology? It ain't gonna work too good. I'm just going to do it my way. You can turn the channel, go somewhere else. That's it. So that Saturn is really strong in Leo. And what that implies to me, it implies to me that a lot of your spiritual transcript never got to fruition because you're so busy arguing with that damn Saturn Uranus thing. And the Saturn and Leo saying, just follow me, you'll be okay. So what I'm saying to you about that 12th harmonic, when you see that Saturn Uranus thing, conservatism versus unconservatism, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry at all about it. And let's turn that into a minor issue. It's been the major issue. And what that tells me from my readings is that you thought it was a major issue. Maybe somebody told you it was. Maybe somebody gave you schooling that it was. But it's too much to get in the way. So the answer to you about finding your way is always the following. Just be patient and you will be shown. That's always the answer. Just be patient and you will be shown. And that laugh says what?
Well, a couple of things, because again, I'm astrology ignorant, so let me preface that. But the fourth house is, I've got stuff apparently in the fourth house that has to do with family. And this last couple of years, pretty much all of my family is cleared out. And they're the ones that, you can't do that. You shouldn't do that. You don't know what, all this kind of thing. And so that's been, I have no more anchor family for either supporting or not supporting who I am, i.e. what I do or what I do.
Okay, several things are involved here. Now, first of all, you don't have a lot of fourth house, but you do have a strong moon, which is similar. So you got that right. That means Cancerian home energy, right? Secondly, since all the planets have been ganging up at the 24th degree, where's your Saturn? Your Saturn's over at 24 Aquarius. Even though it's not hitting it by square or by opposition, your Saturn has been bombarded. And when your Saturn gets bombarded in your chart, your armchair falls off. All the things that you thought you could lean on and depend on start going away. Where'd you go? All the things you start to lean on. And the reason it happens is because your inner self is so damn strong, it knows you don't need it. And if you've been over relying on it, it'll take it away in an abrupt fashion. If you just let it, it'll be much better. So your chart is not going to lose anything. Your chart is in the midst of gaining everything.
Okay.
It's that simple.
Well, I'm the surf the mystery, let go. I'm doing that. I still think you're spot on. Because I've just leaned in to listening and letting go. So that whole, I'm not clutching, holding on to anything. I mean, it hasn't been a habit of mine, but even more so, I'd say in the last 2 years, it's just whatever shows up is awesome.
Well, that's a new phrase I'm hearing round and round about leaning in. And I think it's a wonderful phrase. And I think it's exactly right. And what that's really telling me is it looks like you're leaning in, but what's happening is you're leaning away from all the things that were wrong, all the untruths that you were fed. Okay, I'm in a TTC group every Thursday morning, which is a study group of the Course in Miracles. And it's all just about a fancy way of saying unlearning, just unlearning all the stuff that you were taught. And when you unlearn all that's left is the purity that's just sitting there. So I have no doubt about you. I think you're going to be led. We see already that you got Uranus and Scorpio at the top of your chart. And that means here I come. Here I come. And you're not going to be sitting with somebody with a little tiny candle light lit and talking about their next two tarot cards. You're going to be taking people saying, let's stop bullshit and get on with it. That's what your chart's about. And you can get away with it because you got the moon in Libra, which means smile when you deliver it, and you get away with murder.
Well,
That's how the moon in Libra is. Just say, we're not going to list any more bullshit, which is self-denial, and we're going to get on with it. You call it leaning in, and I'm going to boost you, and you're going to boost these people with certainty. That's what we're what.
Oh, I like that.
You're going to be boosting them with certainty because you're going to be coming across. Can you imagine, Claudia, to be following behind a Uranus in Scorpio? I mean, that means get the hell out of my way. I know what I'm talking about. Get in line and let's go. That's what that means. And they're going to say, huh?
I mean, it's fascinating that, we've spoken, I don't know, a dozen times or so over the past decade. And here you are, and you're just like, you're describing a lot of what I'm experiencing. I do love the support that you're kind of saying my foundation's going to be illuminated. So I really appreciate that.
Well, what I like about this is this. We're in a time right now, we're really in a lot of trouble across the board, big time. And I hate to use these phrases. God is harvesting people now to come out and be meta teachers, to teach the teachers.
Yeah.
You're just another one. I'm just seeing them left and right, 5, 10 a week.
Yeah.
You're just another one. And you don't need to be specified. You don't need to be channeling a certain prophet or whatever. You've already got you've got freedoms in areas people don't even know they got.
I don't even know I have them, but I know that I have a lot of healers that come to me for healing.
Yeah, you got it.
Very lightly. Okay. That's,
Yeah.
None of us need healing. We just need lights that are guiding wherever it is that we can't see, which you are for me, and I thank you.
Well, we are for each other, but you're exactly right. But I'm telling you, with Uranus and Scorpio, there are going to be times that you're going to draw to you some people that object to what you're doing, and you just have to bowl them over. I'm not talking about being mean, but I'm talking about you have to bowl them over with your truth, with your passion. They don't have to stand a chance against your energy because you're just really powerful. And you get that moon in Libra and that Venus in Pisces. So you can show them, I'm not trying to hurt you, but I'm trying to smash what you're saying. because it's leading us astray like all this other junk did for how many centuries. Okay?
I see
Now
a lot
back-
of good things coming.
Huh?
I see a lot of good things coming.
Well, thank God, because a lot of good things are what we need. Thank God. Now-
They're in the wings.
I want to revisit this sixth harmonic again. All right. So we see that these Gemini planets in the bottom are very interesting to me because they show one of, how do I say this? One of the reasons you might be sad is because you can't define what you are. But one of the one of the big parts of you doesn't want to find because it's confining. And if
Oh.
Aquarians hate anything, it's being confined.
Yes, sir.
And you're with all the Gemini, you're very versatile. They can put you in anywhere, put you in any envelope and mail you. It's all going to work because you're coming out the other side with the same principles. So when you look at somebody and you smile at them, you're going to be touching that place in them where they smile at themselves.
Beautiful. And yes.
That's a Ramdassian type of way of saying it.
And I remember maybe you remember me whining about this often. So my twin brother is 7 minutes younger than I am. And we are night and day. We are, I mean, he's not even talking.
There are a lot of arguments about that theory. Go ahead. I mean, astrologers can't figure out why twins. Here's Marcia right there. She is one. She's one of two. Astrologers don't know why the twin effect is that way.
I have some theories, but I can't plug it into astrology. But for me, seeing and hearing you being on target with all this and knowing that 7 minutes is not huge.
Oh, it'll happen when it's 1 minute. The people are night and day. I got my theories too, but one day I was doing a pair of twins and I did the one and I turned to the other one. I said, what I just said. And the second one said, it's nothing like me. I said, I know it's a whole different thing. I don't want to get into.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a nemesis for astrologers.
Yeah. Well, I just think I'm also working a path. And again, I said consciousness earlier. When you're striving and opening and seeking is one thing. And my brother is definitely not. He's very closed and very rigid and very structured and very negative and very, very intelligent. But and
Aquarian men are a lot different than the women. Now, another thing to show you here is this, which I didn't get to at the point. I told you Neptune is right here. In your lifetime, it's gone from here to here. When it crosses that line, and we're talking about next year, it doesn't have to be definitive. We're talking about it's coming soon to your theater the next year, the next several years, really strong. This is your public persona. This is the persona that you portray to people. This is the birth of a counselor. This is lawyers, this is counselors, this is not just marriage and partners, but this Neptune coming up has been preparing you for a long time, maybe 10 years. Neptune has been preparing you to be a spiritual counselor, which is coming to your theater real soon. I'm going to give you the dates.
I'll buy that ticket. I'll buy that theory that's the case. And again, you've known me since 2012 or before. And so I just got into a relationship this year that's, very, very, very strong.
Okay, now I'm going to talk to you about that here in a second. Don't let me forget. Here's Neptune, 7th house, April of 2022. Next April 5th. Now, remember, this planet, Neptune, is the fuzziest of all. So you're not going to get something specifically on that date. But around March, April, May, you're going to notice this whole persona being brought forward into the public because you're ready. And it's going to be, you're going to be unveiled. You're going to be unveiled. And you're going to, if you're alert to it, you're going to feel such, how's the Indians say, wind behind my sails.
I'm getting confirmation as you're speaking. I'm getting confirmation of that.
Yeah. Now, you people have to understand something. I've read for her for 3 times in 7 years, and all she's ever said is, no, that's not it. No. And she's not being difficult. I just couldn't do it. Tonight, all the good stuff. So that's very good. Now, warnings. Neptune will make you feel very dissatisfied. And the reason it's doing it is trying to show you that God's heaven is the only thing that's really attainable, and everything else pales in comparison. That's what it's really doing. But it can make Westerners feel very, oh, I'm not satisfied with this, oh, I'm not satisfied with him and all that. So be aware of that. Now, are we talking about a gentleman type thing that's happened your way? Okay. What month did he come by?
February 8th.
February of this year?
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm trying to show people every week constantly is how they come to you right after you let go of your junk. So
Well,
look at late January, early February.
So we've known each other, well, actually since high school, and have had a friendship relationship, off and on over the course of a few years. And I ditched him in December because he was rude. And I said, that's it, I'm done. And I've loved him forever. And yeah, came back.
Okay. But the point is, astrologically, the most important thing in astrology is getting rid of somebody in your life that you shouldn't be with. I mean, it's the thing that makes all the goodies come. Yeah. And because I think the reason is because when you're with them before in the BC, there is no you. There's no you there. Or you're so busy trying to be this thing or whatever. But when you let it go, it's like, wow.
Yeah, that.
Okay?
Yep.
Now I'm going to get to Marcia here and do this other chart in just a second. But I want to know, first of all, how do you feel now about your stuckness?
So I feel affirmed, positive about like where I've been or incubating, and then confirmation on, it's like being drawn forward sort of, but I guess essentially I feel I'm not stuck. I feel I'm on time.
Right.
Yeah. I feel more on time, even though I haven't thought that.
Well, that's a really good way of putting it. What I'm trying to say with people to summate the kind of thing you just said is when you back up from all these charts and you look at them from a long distance, you start to realize that God's not that damn picky about you. He's just not. It's all this crap we've been fed. And he's just kind of sitting there like the Buddha, sitting there smiling and just welcoming you whatever you're doing. He's not judgmental. He's not the brimstone, hellfire and brimstone God. And yeah, you're right on track. I would suggest that you read about Neptune. You can find that many places. It is a very confusing planet. Don't let it scare you. If you get yourself scared into a corner, then just call me and we'll talk about it. Because it is a weird planet. It will bring forth channeling. It will bring forth, yeah, that's a beautiful, she says, God is not picky about you.
Yeah.
My life purpose is to make Claudia laugh. Okay. Thank you very much, Lav. I'm real glad to have read for you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Join us anytime, but unfortunately you will hear a bunch of astrology if you do.
I know, but it's Greek to me, and you guys look at all the symbols, and I mean, I couldn't tell you what house is where and what symbols what, but
Pluto's in the doghouse.
Which makes it great, though, to see you can sit here and just go do. It all makes sense.
Yeah. That's because we can talk to more than just our salt shakers.
Yeah. Again, thank you.
You are certainly welcome. Let's stay in closer touch.
Yes, sir.
That offer is still good whenever you get to Pennsylvania.
I just got back from Texas a couple of days ago, but I flew. But I will be in Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana again, probably in yes, Pittsburgh's on the yes.
Well, then we'll do it up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, Marcia Budd, a good friend of mine, has been into homeopathy for quite a while now, and she happened upon the chart of the man who started it. What's his name?
Samuel Hahnemann.
Samuel Hahnemann. And she gave me the chart. I think I even got the birth time. Oh, that's gold to an astrologer. This chart is incredible. Tell us a little about this guy. What nationality?
He was German,
Yeah?
and he was born in Germany in 1755.
1755.
Yes.
He had to have a really strong Uranus. And they didn't even know about Uranus then.
And he died in 1843. And he was a very spiritual, sensitive physician who could not bear the cruelties that were happening at that time, what doctors were doing to people. They thought they were helping people, but they were doing great damage and killing people, and
Bleeding them and
meetings and all the different things they did, and giving way too strong amount of poisonous medications, and so he developed the art of homeopathy so that mankind would not have such cruelty.
he was an avatar.
Yeah.
He was an avatar. And if I'm not mistaken, that's about the time that Uranus was discovered. Right around that time. We'll take a look at his chart because you see, this kind of thing does not happen unless you've got big time planets, big, powerful planets, even ones you didn't know are there yet. Like Eris. Because the planets are out there. Look at this chart. It's unbelievable. All right. Dr. Hahnemann. April, he's in Aries, of course, the adventurer, born near midnight, born during a new moon, the sun and moon on either side of the nadir, Venus, Mars, Uranus. I told you Uranus is big. Uranus squares Pluto, Uranus squares the ascendant, Uranus squares Eris, Uranus is opposite Jupiter. This is what made him so far ahead of his time when Uranus was just being discovered. Pluto not till 1930, Eris 2005, Neptune 1800s. Okay, so when you keep in mind that homeopathy has to do with giving people small bits of the thing that they're having trouble with, isn't that right?
That's right.
And getting the body's natural immunity to pick up that rhythm, that vibration, to fight it. So where do you get that kind of thing, that talk about vibration is Uranian. And when you get it for the masses, you get it in Uranus and Pisces. So look at the Jupiter at 9, Uranus at 13, the T-square goes over to Pluto sitting there. Well, in this case, do you think Jupiter and Uranus are going to exert their power through Pluto? No way. Pluto's not going to be told what to do, even when it's inside. Pluto's telling them what to do. Pluto is the essential deep energy. That's what it is. And it's in Sag, which share it with the people. But look at all this beautiful, powerful Pisces stuff here. This is his powerful intuition this man had. Let alone the fact that his sun is right near the nadir. That's very, very intuitive. And we didn't even know what's going on with Eris. He's got Pluto and Eris right on the ascendant. The guy's just a powerhouse. And I would imagine he stirred up a lot of great animosity. People thought he was nuts and they tried to stop him, but he had great power behind him, which is called truth and knowledge. Okay, he's got Neptune trying to Mercury. He's got Neptune trine to the moon. He's got Jupiter trine to Chiron. This guy's just an absolute powerhouse. Now, would you say, since you've been studying, would you say that it's going through a rebirth now? Or what years would be considered a rebirth?
That's hard for me to answer. Homeopathy, that's hard for me to answer because it's gone through different stages. And there's been other doctors in the last centuries that have picked up on the work that he started that he wasn't able to finish. I think maybe we're at the crust of a rebirth now because of the pandemic. And
This is the chart. This is the chart of homeopathy.
Mhm.
His chart and homeopathy are the same thing.
Mhm.
So it'd be interesting to keep an eye on what planets hit what and what happens to homeopathy. We see Pluto's about to hit Saturn. Pluto's just about to hit Saturn. The Pluto return for the USA is the same degree as Saturn. That's intriguing. Plus, he's German. Well, we'll keep an eye on that to see what happens
Mhm.
because he's got so much power.
Mhm.
How did his life end?
I'm not sure how his life ended.
I mean, was homeopathy being accepted?
Oh, it was a big battle. Yeah. It really got more into the forefront after he was gone. Particularly with an American homeopath named Dr. Kent. There were a lot of homeopathic colleges and pharmacies in the United States before the AMA kicked them out.
Well, what was his true revelation to the thinking?
Well, I'd say that he saw the simplicity and godliness of nature and the way that nature works, and seeing the opposite of the way these very gross substances and gross tactics were put on people.
Right.
So he started.
She froze up on me. Come back, Marcia. Come back, Marcia. I'm going to flash one word on her, see how that works. See if we get her back. And that word is purity. Pluto's all about purity. So I'm sure that had a lot to do with what he saw in the science. Okay, here's Melody. Marcia has frozen up. It's okay. Let's just call it a night here. We'll stay glued together here. We'll call it a night, not have to put our YouTubers through it. YouTubers, thank you so much for joining with us tonight. It's been a really interesting night. Really happy to see all that stuff happen with Lab Blue. Next week, I'll be talking to you, but I do need to let you know that I got a fault in my schedule. And I think a Great King is scheduled around December 7th. So I'll let you know for sure. So that's it with the recording.